A few weeks ago, I went down this major rabbit hole. I started a Reddit thread, Our Self Improvement, which is just one of the biggest personal development communities on the internet. And someone had posted this question: does anyone else feel like they're just going through the motions? Like nothing is actually wrong, but nothing feels right either. And that one hit hard. And that post had almost 800 comments. Crazy thing, I've been there. I felt every one of those questions, almost every one of those answers. And after figuring it out for myself, after it took all that time, now I help other people who are stuck there, they're hollow, they're stuck, they're numb. So I read every single one of them. And then I went to the next thread, and then the next, and then Quora, and then YouTube comments, and then our 30s, our burnout, you name it. I spent hours going through what people write when they think nobody who knows them is watching. When it's 11 p.m. and the numbing has stopped working and they're typing into the void, hoping that somebody says, "Me too." And what I found stopped me. It shocked me. Not because it was actually shocking or surprising in that sense, but because it was all the same over and over again. Different people, different cities, different jobs, different lives saying almost the exact same things, using almost the exact same words. And I recognized every single one of them because I've felt them and because I've heard versions of them from almost every client I've ever worked with. And today, I'm going to share what I found: the real language of the high functioning hollow, as I call it, straight from the people living it. No clinical framing here, no coach speak, just the actual words people use when they finally stop pretending that they're fine. So there are 6 things that came up again and again, 6 phrases, 6 patterns, for lack of a better term, that appeared across hundreds of different threads from hundreds of different people, if not thousands. And the last one is one that I think is one of the most important things that I've read on the internet in years. And it hurts, but I want to build up there because they're all really important and they all combine into that last one a little bit. So let's start at the beginning. Before we start, I touched on this. I'm Jay. I've been through this stuff. I am now an NLP practitioner, a neurotrauma coach, and someone, again, who has lived this pattern twice at least, 2 different countries, losing everything both times before I understood what was actually happening. So, what I'm about to share here, it's not my opinion, all right? This is what real people are saying in places they go when they can't say it aloud. Maybe they're ashamed to say aloud. There's that guilt shame loop, right? I'm just a person who went and read it and who can tell you what it actually means. All right, the first pattern 1. The first thing people said: nothing is wrong. That's the problem. This came up more than anything else. In thread after thread, the same structure. I have a good job. I have people who love me. I have no reason to feel this way. And I feel absolutely nothing. One person actually wrote, "I keep waiting for something bad to happen, so I have an excuse for how I feel. But nothing bad is happening. Everything is just fine. And fine feels like drowning slowly." Someone else said, "I told my therapist I feel empty, and she asked what was wrong. I said nothing. She looked confused. I felt more alone than before I went in." And that last one hit me hard. They all hit me hard because it names a specific isolation of this experience. The fact that the usual frameworks don't fit. You can't point to the thing. There is no thing. And that absence of a thing is somehow the most disorienting and hurtful part. Here's what I want you to hear if this is you: the fact that nothing is wrong doesn't mean nothing is wrong. It means the problem isn't external. It's the gap between the life you're living and the one that you would actually feel like your life, that you actually want to live. And that gap doesn't show up on paper. It shows up at 11 p.m. when you're staring at the ceiling, wondering why you feel like this. Is this it? And let me say one thing before I move on to the second pattern that always gets me on this one. It's when other people come to you and say, you should feel grateful. You should feel grateful for the life you have. And look at X, Y, and Z, people in this other country. Look what they're going through. And that's almost like low key gaslighting to me. It makes you feel bad for not feeling great. The thing that you're feeling is very real. And then it makes you want to hide the thing you're feeling. I don't want you to hide the thing you're feeling. Anyway, let's go on to pattern two. So the second thing people said was, I used to care about things. Past tense, too, always past tense. I used to get excited about work. I used to look forward to things. I used to feel things when good things happened. One comment I kept coming back to, I got the promotion I'd been working towards for 3 years. I called my mom. I said the right things. I hung up the phone and I sat in my car in the parking garage and I felt absolutely nothing. I thought something was wrong with me. That moment, achieving the thing and feeling nothing, is one of the most common experiences of what I call the hollow pattern. And it's one of the most frightening too, because if the thing you worked for doesn't produce the feeling, what will? And I'll say here too, like sometimes I would feel things for a day or two or three, but then gone again, even if it was this huge monumental thing I've been working towards for 2 years. In psychology, this is called anhedonia, the reduced capacity to feel pleasure from things that used to produce it. But the clinical term doesn't capture what it actually feels like. What it actually feels like is this: I think I broke something. I think that part of me that was supposed to feel is gone. I feel like there's something wrong with me. It's not gone, it's buried. And there's a difference. The third thing people said, I perform being okay so well that nobody knows. This one came up in almost every thread. The gap between the external performance and the internal reality. I'm the person everyone comes to when they're struggling. I give great advice. I'm supportive and present and reliable. And I go home and feel like a shell. Here's another. My friends think I have it together. My colleagues think I'm thriving. My family thinks I'm happy. I don't know how to tell any of them that I've felt nothing for 2 years. And another, I laughed at dinner last night. Real laughing. And then I drove home and thought, was that real? Do I actually find things funny? I genuinely couldn't tell. They're all crazy. That last one, that not being able to tell if your own reactions are real, that's one of the most advanced stages of being hollow, of this hollow pattern. When the performance you've been running for so long that you've lost track of where it ends and where you begin. And I've been there after Hawaii, after the collapse. I spent months not knowing which version of me was real. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing in life anymore. Is this what I actually want? Which one was real? The one that was rebuilding or the one that was performing rebuilding? I had no idea. And that confusion for you all is its own kind of hollow, it's its own kind of misery. So patterns 4 and 5 are ones that probably surprised me the most, not because they were unexpected, but because of how specifically people describe them. The language was almost identical to across hundreds of different people who had never met each other, weren't talking to one another. And when language converges like that, it means something real is being named. I'll show you what I mean. Pattern 4. So the fourth thing that people said, I keep trying things and stopping. And I've started to think I'm the problem. The self blame in these threads is striking and it's hard to read. Not anger at the situation, anger at themselves, anger at me. I've started and stopped so many things: therapy, journaling, exercise, new jobs, reset. So the first quote, I've started and stopped so many things: therapy, journaling, exercise, new jobs, new cities. Nothing sticks. I think I'm just someone who can't follow through. Second quote, I bought another course last month. I've done maybe 20% of it. I have a folder on my desktop called Things I'm Going to Finish, and it has 14 items in it. I haven't opened it in 6 months. And the third, my therapist says I'm resistant to change. Maybe she's right. Maybe I just don't want it badly enough. And that last one, all of them, I guess, but that last one, it just broke my heart a little bit because the resistance that people are feeling isn't to change, it's to this surface level change that doesn't touch the root. You can't build new behavior on top of an unchanged identity. And every time someone tries and it doesn't stick, that story gets louder. I'm the problem. I don't have what it takes. You're not the problem. The approach is the problem. And there's a significant difference. Pattern five. I'm scared this is just who I am now. Oh, man. This was one that appeared very consistently across almost every platform and almost every thread, across almost every demographic. The fear that the hollow feeling isn't a phase, it's a permanent state. Some examples. I've felt this way for years, for 4 years. At what point do I accept that this is just my personality now? Another, I'm 38. I think I just aged out of caring about things. I think this is what adult life actually is, and I was naive to expect more. And finally, what if there's nothing underneath? What if I dig and there's just more nothing? Oh, that last question. Again, all of them, but what if I dig and there's just more nothing? I want to speak directly to that one because I've heard versions of it from almost everyone I've worked with in some capacity, especially at the beginning. And I've felt it myself multiple times. But here's what I know, going through it myself, going through it with others, in every single case, there was something underneath. Not nothing, something, a very real something. The capacity for aliveness doesn't disappear, it gets buried under years of performing and numbing and reasonable decisions made for the wrong reasons. But buried isn't gone. And that distinction is everything. Pattern six. So, the sixth thing people have said, and this is the one that I could not stop thinking about. Really, I laid in bed thinking about all of them, but this one just really stuck with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. And that's the scariest part. Not I know what's wrong and can't fix it. Not I know what I need to do and I'm not doing it. The not knowing, the absence of a name for the thing, the sense that something is fundamentally off and there's no language for it. There's no identification of it. There's no characteristics. There's no group of people that identify as this, which means there's no way to explain it, at least easily. And then again, going back to some of the earlier stuff we talked about, you feel shame for bringing it up because from the outside, your life looks great. So there's no real way to ask for help. There's no real way to even take it seriously. I've Googled, why do I feel empty when my life is good? Probably 50 times. I always find the same generic answers. Nothing fits. I'm starting to think I'm the only person who feels exactly this way. They're not. You're not. What they're describing, what all of these people are describing, has a name. At least I put a name to it, and I talk to it now all the time. It's the high functioning hollow. It's somebody who outwardly, their life looks great, but inwardly, they're struggling. They're numb. They're hollow. They don't know why. They don't have anyone to talk to. They don't know how to figure this out because they don't know what it is they're trying to figure out. And so it's that specific experience of outwardly functioning while inwardly flatlining. That shame guilt loop I talked about, that keeps you from taking it seriously. That suppresses it. That keeps you from talking about it or speaking it aloud. That the performing that's been running for so long that you've lost track of where it ends and you begin. And it has a name, and names matter because the moment you can name a thing, the moment you can identify it, it stops being a verdict of your character and it starts being a pattern. And patterns have causes, and causes have ways back. You're not broken. You're not the only one by far, and you're not too far gone. You're hollow, you're numb, you're stuck. And that's a specific thing with a specific way back. 6 patterns, 6 things that hundreds of people, strangers typing alone at 11 p.m., said when they finally stopped pretending they were fine. 1, nothing is wrong. That's the problem. 2, I used to care about things. 3, I perform being okay so well that nobody knows. 4, I keep trying things and stopping. 5, I'm scared this is just who I am now. And 6, I don't know what's wrong with me. And that's the scariest part. If you recognized any of those, if you've typed any version of those words into a search bar or a Reddit thread or a notes app at midnight. I want you to know something. The fact that you're still looking, that you're still searching, still typing, still watching videos at whatever time it is right now that you're watching means that the signal is still there. The real you hasn't gone quiet permanently. It's still trying to get through. You just need someone to finally give it the right name. Drop a comment below on the one that hits the hardest. Just a number, just one word. I read every single one. I'll reply to every single one. And if this landed, subscribe. Because as we go forward, I'm going to keep breaking down the high functioning hollow, that numbness. And we're going to get back. All right. You're going to get back like I got back, and I've helped other people get back. Look, all right, the real path back, right? Not 10x your day, not 4x your morning routine, the actual root and how you can start climbing back out. You're not the only one, and you never were.